the 24-hour rule. Never respond while you're angry at work. Let's say it's 4:47 p.m. Your boss just sent an email. It's unfair, it's wrong, it's insulting. You can feel your fingers already start to type. Your heart is racing. You're about to hit send on a response that will feel great for like 30 seconds. And it's going to ruin your career or give you a headache for the next 30 days or 30 years, right? So today I'm teaching you about the 24-hour rule, the ancient principle that has saved more jobs than going to HR ever will. Seneca, who was this Stoic, which was these group of people that had a really smart ideas back in the Roman times. Seneca was a Roman Stoic philosopher who wrote an entire essay called On Anger. You know what his main point was? The greatest remedy for anger is delay, not meditation, not breathing exercises, not talking it out. Delay. Just wait. Here's what Seneca understood 2,000 years ago. Anger is temporary insanity. You are literally not thinking clearly. You're paying attention to a set of facts that only cause you to become angry in that moment, and you might even be justified in it, but you aren't seeing the full picture, and that's what taking a beat and delay can help clarify for you. Brain-wise, your amygdala, which is the primitive part of your brain, has hijacked your prefrontal cortex. That's the decision-making part. You are now in fight or flight mode when you're angry. When you're in that state, you cannot write a professional email. You cannot have a measured conversation, and you cannot make good decisions. Seneca said, anger, if it's not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provoked it. Let me say that again. Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. Your anger hurts you more than they did. Your boss's email might be unfair. Your angry response will be career suicide. You're not thinking about the next thing. Which one does more damage? Marcus Aurelius put it even more bluntly. How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? If you want to defend yourself, I get it. I understand that. But do it when you're thinking clearly, not when you're seeing red. In 24 hours, there's actual, what happens during it and why is this a rule? There's neuroscience behind the philosophy. When you're angry, there's something called cortisol, and that's when you feel stress, your cortisol levels raise. That's like a thing inside your body, and as well as adrenaline. You know adrenaline. You get that feeling of your heart rate goes faster. That means your body's in threat mode. In that state, you see everything more extreme than it really is. The email just isn't wrong. It's a personal attack on you, and that criticism that you feel like you're getting, it's not feedback. It's warfare. Anger makes everything worse than it actually is. But when you go home, chill a little bit, relax, I recommend exercise, like vigorous, hard exercise. Like push yourself because you're making yourself better, but you're pushing yourself like in the gym or on a run or rowing machine or on the bike, like a Peloton or something like that. After you sleep, after 24 hours, your neurochemistry is able to rebalance. Suddenly you can see the email for what it actually was. And it's weird. Like you'll read an email like that, you'll do all these things, and the next day you'll sit down and read it, and it'll be like you're reading a different email. I mean, it's crazy. If you guys have ever done that, let me know. But maybe it was poorly worded, but it had a valid point. Maybe your boss was stressed and venting. Maybe it wasn't even about you. This philosopher called Aristotle said, he taught that the golden mean, which is the middle path between extremes, between doing nothing and exploding, that's your measured response. But you can't find that middle path when you're flooded with emotions, so you need time to decompress. This other philosopher called Epictetus said, first learn the meaning of what you say and then speak. You can't learn the meaning when you're furious. So that 24-hour rule gives you three things. It gives you clarity, perspective, and better words. Through clarity, you actually see what's happening versus what your anger tells you is happening. And you guys know when you're angry, you get ramped up. I mean, it's like you're just almost looking for things to piss you off, right? When you're angry. You guys know what I mean. Perspective gives you, it lets you realize that this isn't the worst thing that's ever happened. It's just like a regular Tuesday. And then better words, you'll draft a response that's professional, measured, and actually effective. Practical techniques. So let's say it's 4:47 p.m. That email comes in. You're angry. Here's what you do. Step one, write the angry email. Write all of it, every feeling, every defense. Just keep going. Every how dare you, just get it all out. But save it to your drafts, okay? Or open a blank document with no receipt so you can't accidentally hit send. Just basically write it, but don't send it. Plato believed in catharsis, purging the emotion. A little bit later, Carl Jung talked about shadow work. And I mean, this is what talk therapy is. It's like bringing in the old emotions and really purging it and getting it out. So you're doing that, but you're doing it safely. The next step is close the laptop or log off from the work computer, anything, and just go walk around and do something different. Don't just stare at that email. The Stoics called this premeditatio malorum, anticipating adversity. You're not ignoring the problem. You're just choosing when to address it. And the third step is to sleep on it. So you literally sleep resets your nervous system. It's not just a saying. It is literally your biology. You may not know this about sleep, but your brain reorders stuff and kind of fixes. So you'll have a day, things will happen, you'll feel emotions. Then when you go to sleep, your brain, part of what you're doing with sleeping is, the mysteriousness of your brain chemistry is reordering the events of the day and the memories. And so you're processing through it. So when you wake up the next day, and by the way, you should get good sleep, as many nights as possible, as often as possible. So especially on days like this where something pisses you off at work, you get home, you get good sleep, you wake up the next day and you just feel like a new person and you're able to process it. Step 4, the next day, read the original email again and it'll look different. Then you read your angry draft and you'll probably be thankful that you didn't send it. And your future self will thank you. Okay, so it's really hard to be disciplined and to think about your future self, but we must do that as full functioning, mature adults. That's just the reality that we're in. It's not for them. It's for you. Step 5, write the actual response. Calm, factual, professional. Address the content, not the tone. Ask clarifying questions, propose solutions. Be the adult in the conversation. Seneca said, wherever there is a human being, there's an opportunity for kindness, even with your bad boss. And this isn't kindness like weakness. This is kindness like strategic superiority. You're operating from your professional context. You are getting yours. They are probably still in their amygdala, like their primitive brain. If 24 hours isn't possible, some situations need faster responses. If your bad boss confronts you in person, if a meeting goes sideways, if a phone call happens, if you can't exactly say, I'll get back to you in 24 hours, if they're standing in front of you, this is what you use when the Stoics call the pause. It's not 24 hours, but it's something. So you give a tactical pause. If your bad boss says something inflammatory, you feel that anger rising. This is a part of emotional intelligence, is becoming aware and intelligently identifying when the emotion is happening to you. So you're not just reacting, you're taking a beat and you're pausing. So if you feel that anger rising, here's what you say. Let me make sure I understand what you're saying. And that buys you a couple seconds. That's a lot to process. Can I think about this and get back to you by the end of the day? So now you're buying yourself a few hours. You could say, I hear you. I need to gather some information before I respond to that. Okay? It buys you time and positions you as thoughtful. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion. You don't have to react immediately." Pythagoras made his students observe silence for 5 years before they could teach. That's insane, but it's probably a really good idea. You need 5 minutes before you can respond. The longer you pause, the better your response. That's just how your human brain works. Even Nietzsche, who was not exactly calm, he said, "He who cannot obey himself will be commanded. Master your anger or it masters you." Exception. Okay, there's one exception here. If your boss crosses into harassment, discrimination, or anything illegal, you document that, right? You forward it to your personal email, you screenshot it, you timestamp it, then you decide your next move with a lawyer or with HR. Like, there's different things than what we're talking about there. You have to document that illegal or unethical behavior immediately. The 24-hour rule is good for everyday toxicity, but for legal violations, the rules change. But for the daily grind of that unfair criticism, unreasonable demands, and emotional manipulation, wait. Just always wait. This other philosopher over in the Eastern tradition, Lao Tzu, he wrote, "Do you have the patience to wait until your mud settles and the water is clear? Your anger is the mud. 24 hours is how long it takes to settle." In closing for this one, tomorrow we're going to be talking about boundaries. One of my favorite topics. I didn't know enough about boundaries. And once you study the topic of boundaries, you realize what a violation actually is, and then recognizing that so that you can correct people softly at first, and then it ramps up because boundaries are something you need to communicate to people. Boundaries don't start with them. It doesn't start way over here. Boundaries start with you. Okay? Well, we're going to discuss that. How to set them so that they actually stick. But today, make a promise to yourself. No angry emails. No reactive texts. No heated responses. When your bad boss triggers you, remember Seneca. The greatest remedy for anger is delay. Comment below. Have you ever sent an angry email that you regretted? What happened? Let me know. I'd be curious. And please subscribe. We've got a bunch of these, and if any of these have been interesting to you, please subscribe and like the video. So, all right, guys, I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.